All right, this is take 3. The first time the memory card died, and then this time I had changed to a different memory card and didn't initialize it, and it ran out of space. So I'm going to try this again because it's Sunday night and I didn't get my homework done in time, which is this. So now I've got to try and get this done tonight. So it'll probably be a very late night, and then I got to get to work early in the morning. So this is life. And we can still have joy through things like this. And hopefully you enjoy this, and that would be a good thing. So, all right. This week we're Missionary Disciples, and it's kind of in 2 parts. The first part is going to be about priests, bishops, deacons, popes, nuns, sisters, brothers, the people that are dedicated to God, consecrated, ordained, anointed. And then we're going to talk about us. And, I figured maybe what would be best, you're going to read the book anyway. I hope you're going to read the book and look at some of the links. But I'll tell you 4 stories and just maybe this will encourage you to consider becoming a priest, brother, sister, nun, something or other, because it should. I've had some great experiences with them. Okay. By the way, I'm going to put an advertisement here for the Sacred Heart Sisters retreats, which I'm sorry, guys, but it's only for women. I forget the exact ages, but pretty young up through high school age and everything. They're really, really good. Look them up. I don't know what's going to happen with the thing going on in the next summer, but they have them in the summers, and I really, really recommend it. My daughters all went, and they loved it. Now my granddaughters are going, and they really love it. Okay, without any further. So let's see. Brother Anthony Freitas ran the mechanical technology department at the high school I went to for 3 years. They taught us how to work with machines, lathes, mills, basically how to cut steel using very, very large, powerful, scary machines. And what amazes me about Brother Freitas, I wish I had a picture. I tried to find one. There's no pictures of him out there. Talk about just working without any care for being recognized. Anyway, the thing that I remember was that there were hundreds of us that were involved in this. And if you think about the people they're 14, 15, 16 years old, running machines that are big, heavy machines like this, that they will absolutely, the machines will kill you if you're not careful. He was always calm. He just taught us well, taught us how to be safe, and did a wonderful job. And the interesting thing about Brother Freitas is that I don't remember him ever talking about God. His job was to teach us how to cut steel and aluminum and other stuff. And he did that, but there was never any doubt about his faith. And I remember him. The memories are really powerful that he was just such an example. And in a way that I can't explain. He was showing us God just by being himself. That's all he had to do, was just be himself. It's just amazing, which of course we would hope is true for us as well. Let's see. Sisters of St. Joseph of Cluny. We knew some of those that were at St. Peter and Paul Parish in Wilmington. They did an outreach to the poor, collected clothes, food, stuff like that, and distributed it. We taught classes there at the parish, and that's how we knew the sisters. And our youngest daughter, I don't know how this worked out, but somehow when we were over to teach the class, we would drop our daughter off. She would hang out with the sisters, and she was really small. And she has such beautiful memories of that. And she would be there, we'd go teach, and we'd pick her up, and we'd always end up hanging around for hours talking and stuff and having a nice time with them. So when they're sisters like that, they will have regular prayer times. And they'd ring a bell or something, and they would all go into the chapel and pray and sing and just have a good time with the Lord. But sometimes somebody would ring the doorbell, and one of them would get up, leave the prayer, go to the door, take care of what needed to be done. And one sister that we knew there referred to this as we leave Christ to meet Christ. And I just thought that was really, really beautiful. The idea was that they're in there praying before the Blessed Sacrament and everything, and then the doorbell rings and they go to meet Jesus at the door. because Matthew 25 talks about, all the things that Jesus, we just had this Sunday, all the things that he says, when I was in prison, you visited me. When I was sick, you comforted me. You did all these things for me. And they go, when did we do that? And he goes, when you did it for somebody else, you did it for me. So, they were really following that. And there's a great poem about that called The Legend Beautiful, and I'll put a link to that as well. I do recommend reading. It's not that long, but it's a really beautiful poem, and it fits that exactly. And I don't think those sisters ever mentioned that poem, but when I saw it, I thought of them. So we leave Christ to meet Christ. If you're preparing your response, doing your studies for confirmation, and then you get called to go help with, washing dishes or putting out the trash or whatever, you are leaving Christ to meet Christ. Because in everything we do, we meet Christ, if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So anyway, there's that. And it's how these people hit me in a way that I will never forget. I keep something from them ever after. Father Jim, pastor at Blessed Sacrament in Westminster, Father James Hartnett, going to confession to him once, I remember he told me, we're tempted through our gifts. I may write a book with that as the title someday. But anyway, it's really a powerful idea, and it caused me to think differently about my faults and see that there's something that I could be doing right, and I'm just not using it well. And I've thought about this with parenting. When you have children, and certainly you can look at this in yourself, that the things you do wrong, there's a chance that there's really a gift there, and you just need to learn how to use it and control it right. The funny thing is, I was having a conversation with somebody that I climb with, climbing rocks and stuff sometimes. And she and her husband have a little boy who's very, very smart. And she sometimes has a difficult time with him. And so we were talking about it. And she's not somebody that would ever, isn't interested in religion or being Catholic or anything like that. But we were talking about it. And I said, this priest in confession told me this. We are tempted through our gifts. And explained it to her, and said, when he's doing something bad, look for the gift and then work to develop the gift. And she really liked that. And she would never get this. But because he told me, and then I passed it on, now she's got it. And I just think that's really cool. And by the way, for some of you that are maybe starting to drive or already have or whatever, if you don't want to hit cars, if you don't want to hit the curb, don't look at the cars in the curb. Look ahead. Pay attention to everything. But we drive by looking to where we want to go, not where we don't want to go. So you can kind of think of it the same way. We're tempted through our gifts. It's when we look at something else and don't concentrate on where we're supposed to go. So I don't know. Maybe that's helpful. Let's see. Father Bill O'Keefe, pastor at, why is it pastors and confession for me? I don't know. But Father Bill O'Keefe at Our Lady of Refuge in Long Beach. And I remember in confession with him that he made it a point to quote from the prophet Isaiah about the Messiah coming, Jesus, that the bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not quench. There's other translations, but that's the idea of it. And the idea was to be more gentle, which I have probably done. That, like if you ever have a plant that gets kind of bent, somebody accidentally does it. It doesn't break, but it's bruised, and you can see where the stalk is kind of messed up and looks sort of wet sometimes and everything. And if you leave it alone, maybe it'll heal. And if you keep messing with it, it's liable to completely break, and then that part of the plant just dies. So, and the same thing with a candle, that if it's getting ready to go out and you mess with it, sometimes the flame completely goes out. So that's the way that people are. That sometimes when people are doing something wrong, or when we interact with people, they're already struggling. They're bruised. Their light's almost going out. And we have to be very careful that we treat them in a way that we don't destroy them, that we understand that they're damaged, and then we work with that, and that we're gentle. So I got that from that. And I will always, every time I hear that at Mass, that will always impress me. I will always think of Father Bill O'Keefe. And more importantly, it'll remind me of the moment in confession where he was kind of teaching me, kind of training me to control my temper and to be more gentle with people. And I think that's pretty cool. So sometimes the examples are the best way to explain something. In the book, we'll talk more about everything to do with this, but I just wanted to pass that on. And then there's some other links in here for you too. Now, for us as missionaries, and right now people think about this different ways, but we'll just take a crack at it here. So, sometimes people just want to live their life and just not really do much with other people except have fun with them. And, that's nice. It's good to have fun with people. But they're not really thinking too much about missionaries, about going out and spreading the faith. And we got to be really careful about it because it can sound like we want to go get more members in our club. And that's not what this is. This is a living, breathing body of Christ. We were just talking about the epidemic because I've got folks that came over to visit from another state, and they're like quarantining sort of in place, in their room, but they still have to get food and stuff. And so, we're all trying to be careful and not, get anybody sick. And we don't know that, we don't think they have anything, but we got to wait the 2 weeks, But anyway, we were talking about it, and the idea was, they said, well, it's kind of uncomfortable. It's all awkward right now because we're not sure what to do and how do we keep you safe, but we're trying to do stuff. And it was like, it's going to be awkward. It's going to be uncomfortable. We're going to be uncomfortable together. We're brothers and sisters. We're going to be uncomfortable together. And that's a whole different way of looking at it. Instead of being annoyed with each other, it's like, well, I'm not too sure what to do. Well, I'm not too sure what to do. It's like, okay, well, then we're going to do that together. That's the heart of living in community, is to let ourselves be uncomfortable together. Just get through it and do it with love. Anyway, so that's a little bit of a thing off to the side. But it's not about being in the club. It's about being in the family. And when it's about being in the family, it's about inviting people to live a life of joy and freedom. And if that's not what you think the faith is, if the faith seems like the opposite of joy and freedom to you, then I invite you to learn more, and hopefully these classes help. But if not, then you can't really be much of a missionary. Saint Teresa of Avila, I think it was, yes, it was Teresa of Avila, said that something to the effect that a sad saint is a pretty poor saint. If you're not filled with joy, then you're not really going to spread the faith, not in the way that matters. There was a time in the church where they were always trying to get more members. And they did it often not being a very good example. It was just forcing people, sometimes it was almost forcing people in. And that stinks. And it's completely a dumb idea because it's the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. Our lives are supposed to be so joyful and so free that everybody wants to do the same thing because they seek that same joy and freedom. And that's not the best thing. The best thing is for them to want to be close to God, which they may want to do without understanding it. Okay, so here's the point, is that if you live your life in the faith and you live your life close to God and get closer to God, and that means reading the gospel, reading everything you get your hands on, learn, grow, and pray. And if you do all these things, then it's up to God, and God is pretty cool about this, about drawing you in closer. And then your life, even if you have problems with your health, problems with money, I've been out of work. Once I was out of work for 2 years, and that is not easy, but it's still a life of joy. And during that time, we were raising our children, and we still raised them, and the children still, we didn't get to go out and do anything. It was expensive, but we used to go ride bikes together, and we'd play and throw a ball around, and we did what we could do. So the point is that if we're living that life, that will attract people. It should be our example, and not just because we do good things. This is really important too. It's not a matter of, oh, I'm going to go out, look everybody, I'm doing all this charitable stuff, I'm out there and I'm feeding the poor, and it's a good thing to feed the poor. And, oh, look how nice I am. Look how forgiving. Look how gentle I am. Look how good I am. Well, that's the Pharisees, and which you can read about. This is why you should read. But no, it's just living. It's just being you. It's just being me. I don't have to try. I don't have to try to make people see something. I just have to live and let them see. And the same thing for you. And believe me, if you're really, really living the faith, people are going to notice. You don't have to worry about that. Because especially right now, when so few actually care, even people that are Catholic, most of them really don't seem to care very much. I mean, you don't see that so much now maybe, but later on you may notice it. And there's a lot of people, certainly that are famous people, that don't live the life of a Catholic at all, and don't even, speak against it even, and yet, they're just bad examples. So the point is, live a life of joy and freedom. People will ask you about it. Make sure that you're honest, that it's not your own thing. Hey, it's because of the faith and your trust in God. And it can really, that is a missionary activity. In the end, your life is missionary whether you mean it to be or not. If you're really living the faith, then you will draw other people to Christ because they'll be drawn to you. And you just have to know it's not just about you. They're really being drawn to what they see, and then do your part. And sometimes you're the one that is the last person they talk to that finally they say, you know what, I want to be Catholic too. There's a way to do that. And sometimes you're earlier on and you never see the result. And somewhere 10, 20 years down the road, they may become Catholic partly because of you. But the big deal is not that they became Catholic. The big deal is that they find the joy and freedom of the faith, of living close to God, of prayer, of having friendship with God. That's what we're really after for people. We're not after getting them to join a club. It's all about getting them to really be free and have joy. So, all right. I hope this is good. And I look forward to your responses to anything that I've put in here or any of the links. And I hope your week is good. Thank you.